Hello from the state of New Hampshire. I figured I would do some Iowa caucus predictions on the day of the Iowa caucus. Now, first things first, if you're wondering just exactly when we are going to get results, this is kind of hard to find. I've been doing a lot of research trying to find it, trying to click on the right thing, and they'll say this is when you find the results, and then you can't actually find what time you get the results. So realistically, we should have the first results at about 8:30 Eastern time, which obviously there's an hour time difference in Iowa. So this would be about a half hour after the Iowa caucus begins. Because remember, people don't formally vote. And the way a caucus works is you attend a caucus in, let's say, a school gymnasium, and everybody says, okay, all the people for Vivek go to this side of the room. All the people for Haley go to this side of the room, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can get this very quick count as to how many people are on what side of the room. So 8:30, we'll start getting results. If the race isn't close, which I don't think it will be, I'm sure Trump will crush it with at least 45% of the vote. If the race is not close, we should have a definitive answer as to who won by about 8:45 Eastern time. Again, 8:45 Eastern time is when we should have the result. So that's the hour to look out for. I will be doing some coverage. Let me know if you want me to go live. You'll be able to get live coverage from a billion other people. But certainly the moment after we get results, I'm going to digest it and have some analysis for you about about the dust settling and what the results are and how the dynamics of the race change after we get the results of Iowa. But wanted to make some predictions. First things first, Vivek Ramaswamy going to an event of his, hearing about his ground game, which is very good in New Hampshire, and looking at the polls and looking at the level of commitment that people have for Vivek Ramaswamy. And it's not hard to see why, even though he's not doing that well in the polls. Ramaswamy is real. Some would say he's the conspiracy candidate. Some would say he's the truth to justice candidate. And that's however you think about politics. He's been the guy that's talked about conspiracy with the COVID lockdowns, which a lot of that stuff has actually been proven. You can't spread COVID by going outside, and a lot of the lockdowns were kind of unnecessary and overblown. To deeper conspiracies about 9/11, did the government cause 9/11? That's a little extreme. Vivek seems to feel that way, but there's a big segment of voters who just don't trust the system and feel like they've been lying to the voters for the past century, and that it's all part and parcel to question your government, question the FBI, question the official narrative. And I would agree with a lot of that, not getting into the specifics of the 9/11 stuff, but it's always healthy to reflexively question your government and to, quite frankly, reflexively think your government is lying, because 9 times out of 10 your government is lying to you. And that's why Vivek is getting this momentum. In addition, he has wonderful energy and he's good. And I'm going to go to a Vivek town hall and see this for myself, but he's good with voters. He's good on the stump. He comes off as this prick in the debates that nobody seems to like, but he actually comes off as a very genial, down-to-earth, nice guy when he's interacting with voters. And that's who you need to be nice with. I don't think anybody's going to get that upset that he was going after Haley and calling her a globalist, which isn't exactly inaccurate. And everybody got mad over his ear daughter on TikTok, but he was just simply pointing out a hypocrisy where Haley wants to ban TikTok, but her own daughter was on it. It wasn't a personal attack against her daughter. So that was an overblown moment, I think. And he was able to get some attention for himself. But the reason I think Vivek will do better than expected is because the weather will make it the coldest Iowa caucus in the history of Iowa caucuses. I think the high is going to be about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be intense, and there are going to be a lot of people who just don't want to show up. The people who support Vivek are diehard Vivek fans, and they will walk through the snow. They will make that risky drive. They will spend that hour in the caucus. And I think because of the weather, Vivek right now is polling at about 6%, not very good. I think he's going to get 15 to 16% and give himself some serious momentum to actually punch up some good numbers in New Hampshire to the detriment of Trump and to the benefit of Haley. I think the polls have shown 80% of Vivek voters, their second choice is actually Donald Trump, even though there was a little bit of a tiff. But watch Vivek get momentum. I'm not kidding about this, and I'm not a Vivek cultist or diehard, but if you go to me, I'd like to consider myself one of the more objective people covering this race, and I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. So there's no slant. So, if I say something, it's actually what I've observed. It's not because I'm rooting for Vivek or I'm rooting for a different candidate. It's simply because I'm looking at his ground game. He has some of the most hired people to do door-to-door canvassing. He certainly has one of the most heaviest volunteer bases. And even in New Hampshire, the people putting up signs for him are hardcore. I went up north to New Hampshire last time. In Littleton, there's this giant Vivek sign in front of a church, and then little signs of other people. And there's a small little Trump sign, but a giant Vivek one. So the enthusiasm and the weather will allow for him to do 8 to 9% better than what the polls say, which will allow him to get 5 to 10% better in New Hampshire, and will give him a fighting chance in South Carolina. So to say that Vivek is finished after this, I think is incredibly inaccurate. As to the other results, Vivek will certainly do quite well, I think. I think because of that, Trump is going to get 40 to 45% of the vote. Before, he was polling at 60 to 55% consistently. His poll has now slipped below the dangerous point of 50%. You will always want, even if it's you against 4 other people, you as a quasi-incumbent always want to be above 50%, because of course the fear is if it's mano-a-mano, one man versus one person, then the 51% could come and crush you. Now, I don't think that'll necessarily happen because I think a lot of DeSantis voters will vote for Trump, a lot of Vivek voters will vote for Trump, so it's a stretch. Asa Hutchinson is still in the race, and we'll try to go to an event of his in New Hampshire as well, really trying to see everybody. His 1% will help Haley eventually if he drops out, or his 2%. But look, even 2% in a mano-a-mano race could make the difference of victory. So even Asa Hutchinson, who Trump calls Ada, is still really a factor in this race. So Trump, my guess, 45% for Trump. So right now we're at 45. Haley, I think, will get 25. So 45 plus 25 would be 70% of the vote so far. So Haley will lose to Trump by 20 points. I think Vivek's going to beat DeSantis. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. I think he's losing so much momentum. Haley 25, Trump 45, Vivek 15. And so I think DeSantis hovers around 10%. So that means I'm bad at math, but the 25, 45, that would be 65, plus the 15 for Vivek, that would be 75. So then there's a 25% left of the vote. 25% left, Vivek gets 15, 25 minus 15, that would be about 10%. And I think DeSantis will get 10%. I think Vivek will do 5% better than DeSantis. Now, you can throw egg in my face if I get that incorrect, but I'm just looking at his ground game, the passion of the volunteers, and the weather, and just the unique issues that he's been advocating for that a lot of other people haven't. Now, in the bigger picture, what happens is I think this will cause DeSantis to drop out. I think he eventually will drop out. As for alien drone services and him, that's a commenter of mine, as to him thinking or him asking me to reflect on Vivek's prediction as to whether or not DeSantis will be Haley's running mate. I think they hate each other. It wouldn't work. The DeSantis people will go for Trump anyway, or a good chunk of them. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think DeSantis will probably drop out after Iowa. I think he'll do. I think DeSantis needs to at least get 25%, which is not going to happen. But Haley gets a good momentum. She loses to Trump by 20 points, most likely. Not as bad as people say. Not as bad as 40 points. Everybody says, oh, Trump was going to beat the next person by 40 points. So that's certainly a difference. And the momentum that she's getting in New Hampshire, she's peaking at the right time. And the Civil War comments that she has talked about, I think are not, people really don't care. And I've talked to some voters in New Hampshire, and they don't care. The problem is with Haley is she tried to walk them back and was just way too careful about it. And so that's her Achilles heel. She doesn't want to come off as too cautious, because that will make her comparable to Ron DeSantis. And you can see why DeSantis' campaign completely sunk. So Haley will have some decent momentum. I think she will actually beat Trump by about 3 to 4 points in New Hampshire. I think it's going to be a close race. But she's been gaining the momentum. And it's all about when do you get close to the other person in the poll. Remember, DeSantis got close to Donald Trump very early on. This was immediately after he won re-election in 2022, and everybody said it was inevitable. The only polls do matter, but the only poll that matters really is the week before, a week and a half before the actual election. So she has this upward trajectory that's been fairly consistent really since the last month. And you want to get the momentum. You don't want to get the momentum too early. Even 3 months out is not good because you can't hold it. You can hold some momentum if you're getting it literally a week before the caucus. So usually what happens if somebody's on the ascension, then their poll numbers, their actual vote numbers, if there's an upward trajectory, will usually be about 3 to 4 to 5% better than what the poll said, because people like to vote for a winner. People like to vote for things based on momentum. That's the Achilles heel for Trump. If Trump is always viewed as the winner and now all of a sudden he's this loser, then all bets are off. Of course, South Carolina is a lot more conservative, and so Haley may very, very well get crushed in South Carolina. My guess is Haley gets enough momentum out of New Hampshire to not get complete egg on her face, and she loses to Trump by a respectable enough 10 to 15% in South Carolina. It still looks bad, though, because it's her home state. But then on Super Tuesday, Trump crushes everybody. That's what I think is going to happen. So you'll probably be with me for a lot of it because I'm new. Obviously, I'm in New Hampshire now, covering that. Then I'm going to go down to South Carolina where it's warm, so that'll be really nice. I'm excited for that. Dog will be less happy because he loves cold weather. But we'll do South Carolina. And if Haley doesn't drop out and she's still punching after South Carolina, then I'll talk with you guys and, hey, tell me what Super Tuesday state you want me to go to. I'm going to try to go to at least 3 or 4 because I think there'll be there won't be that much time from March 5th so I'll go to 1 from the 23rd of February until March 5th. It's probably I might go to 1 or 2 states if there's about 2 weeks, give or take. My feeling is probably Alabama and Texas would be it. But hey, let me know what state you'd want me to go to for Super Tuesday. There's a bunch. There's Michigan in between, but that's too tough to get out to with a car and the dog and everything. So do Michigan analysis like I'm doing this for Ohio. Thank you guys again for subscribing, by the way. Thank you for all the encouraging comments. Today was the first day I didn't lose subscribers, so that was very, very nice. But as I joked before, don't unsubscribe. I've lost some subscribers, and previously each time I post a new video, I'd lose some. I made the joke, death threats for subs, so if you want to give me a death threat, I won't go to the police, but you have to subscribe. So that would be my trade-off. But today I didn't lose any, so I'm at 5,010. I'm still at 5,000, but barely. So I figured I'd let you guys know about this to kind of inform you of what a nascent, newish YouTube channel is like and what it's like to try to build an audience and sometimes how you even lose an audience, which stinks. And I think obviously one of the reasons I've lost some of the audience is because I'm just not that hardcore of a partisan. I'm not a Trump or a Biden loyalist in really any way, and I'm wary of both parties and generally wary of the overdog figures. I always like the underdog. I always have personally, and I think they're always the best candidates. But that is my analysis. Once the dust settles, I'll have a little video digesting all of it for you tonight. But thank you guys, and it looks like the Dean Phillips video ended up doing pretty decent, so I appreciate that, and thank you for hearing what he has to say. There was a commenter. First off, I want to say to I'm going to look at his name, because I like to address some of the comments and talk about it. And there was this gentleman named Shannon, or woman, or man, they're Irish, Shannon. You are literally going to put Trump in the White House voting for Dean. That's taking Biden votes. We can't afford to lose any Biden votes. I will vote for Dean next time. Our democracy is at stake. So I want to address this because this is a constant thing I've been hearing from Biden loyalists trying to get people not to vote for Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips. First off, I want to thank Shannon for watching and for commenting. It helps the algorithm. But Shannon, I'm going to explain why you're incredibly wrong and how your comment just doesn't even make any sense. But it's a comment I've heard from so many people. Shannon is not alone in thinking this. I'm not calling Shannon crazy. I see what Shannon's up to. Shannon is a fan of the status quo, and some people are, and that's fine. I think we need a new president right now. I don't think this current president is working. This is why Shannon's comment doesn't make any sense. A vote for Dean is not a vote for Biden. A vote for Dean is a vote for the candidate that you like best in the Democratic primary. Guess what? If you think Biden, you probably will, if you think Biden's going to crush Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson, then you get to vote for Biden in a general election. Oh my God, you could vote for Dean Phillips in a primary or Marianne Williamson, and then all of a sudden they're not there, and then you could vote for Biden against Trump. Some will make the bigger argument of primaries hurt people. Primaries are bad. No, we must protect dear leader. We must. We can't have anybody saying anything negative about them. Bullshit, man. Primaries only strengthen a candidate. Only helps. Look at 2016 and how Trump had his very intense primary, and it made him a better candidate. That's why I think he's not as effective this time, because he's not going through the debates and he's not sharpening his elbows. Obama versus Hillary Clinton. Obama had a tough primary. Was it a huge problem? No. Obama still won. 2000, Bush had a real primary. It wasn't much of one. Bush still won. I think he was running against John McCain. Well, that was a real primary. John McCain won New Hampshire. So that was an actual real primary. So this argument is totally nonsensical. Vote for whoever, even if you like Trump. Let's say you like Trump, you'll probably get to vote for him in the general. But let's say you like Vivek more, vote for Vivek. You're not hurting Trump in a general election by voting for Vivek Ramaswamy. So I want to address that comment. For any Democrats or any independents wanting to vote for Dean Phillips or Marianne, who might even support Biden and understandably might think Biden is a much better choice than Trump, well, still, watch these videos. It doesn't have to be mine, but watch videos of Marianne and Dean. And these are two other serious, and Cenk Uygur's not that serious, but they're two other serious candidates and one obnoxious candidate that are running against Biden that you might like better. You might like better on speech style, on policy. You might find them to be all notably more youthful. And even Marianne at 72 years old, incredibly youthful compared to Biden. It is interesting how people carry their age. I found that very interesting, that Marianne's just 10 years younger than Biden but it feels like she's 40 years younger than Biden with her energy and her capability and her quick mind. And I went to a Marianne event today, so we're gonna have some of that tomorrow, I think, once I edit and everything. But yeah, don't listen to that. So that's my perspective in the caucus. DeSantis sinks, Vivek raises eyebrows, Haley does well enough, Trump gets 40 to 45% of the vote. Let's see what happens. But thank you guys for following me, and every single day I will be in an event covering somebody. So we got Vivek tomorrow, because all the everybody's coming home from Iowa now to New Hampshire, and I guess there's not much left beyond that. There would be Haley, obviously. She's up north on tomorrow, but I think she comes down south on Wednesday or Thursday, and then I'm going to try to go to an Asa Hutchinson event. Why not? I think that might be fun, and I think that's literally everybody running. I think I've gotten everybody. I missed Christie. Christie dropped out, so that was a bummer. But everybody else, DeSantis. Let's see. That'll be interesting. Let's see if DeSantis comes to New Hampshire or not. I would be surprised, but I'll look out for him. But thank you guys for watching, and appreciate the continued encouragement. It means a lot. Take care.